If you're an Amazon seller that's wanting some insights into how to scale a private label business or product research in a unique way, then keep watching this video because I'm about to be chatting with Scott Needham about how he scaled his private label business and how he actually did his product research. And he's actually the founder of a tool called SmartScout, which helps a lot of private label sellers and resellers do market research and get some really key insights into product categories revenue. So stay tuned in on this video and let's go ahead and jump into it, starting with me quickly telling you who I am. If you don't know, my name is Ian Smith and I run an Amazon marketing agency called Evolve Media Agency. At EMA, we completely revamp Amazon listings. We do product photo shoots, product video shoots. We graphic design those up into infographic images for the main product photos, the EBC and A+ content section. We build out brand story sections. We build out Amazon storefronts. We do Amazon PPC management, Google search ads management, TikTok ads management. So if you're needing help with scaling up your Amazon business or boosting up your listing pages conversion rate, then book a free consulting call with me by going to emaamz.com. All right, so now let's jump into the interview and let me introduce you to Scott. What's up, Scott? Thanks for jumping on this video with me, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ian.
For sure, man. So tell us, what do you do? What's your main focus right now? I know you got a couple different businesses, a couple different focuses, but what is it, the one that you want to tell us about today?
Yeah, so I've actually been selling on Amazon, full-time almost 10 years, a few months away. And it's kind of crazy that spent about a third of my life doing this, but I started in a wholesale reselling business and we scaled that pretty big. But as a software developer for that business, I was kind of always in the back end, and that got me tinkering to do other things, or at least solving problems. So ended up buying a private label business that we continue to run, me and my brother, my partner. And then almost 2 years ago, I actually launched a software tool called SmartScout, which again is kind of like, the problems that we see that I talk about on the podcast. I'm like, I just want to build a solution to that. And so there's a lot of ideas baked into SmartScout that can help people in different ways. But I do think the problems that are just interesting in themselves. And, we've got over 1,000 people, using SmartScout, and
nice.
It's a fun business. But because of my experience as an Amazon seller, that's where that's where we build and develop too. So those are all the businesses, all my world. Is surrounding Amazon.
Okay, well, let's start, I guess, with the private label business that you mentioned. Are you able to tell us the product category or any kind of insights in it?
Sure, I'll even tell you the business name. It's called Upstreet. It's a solid brand with a few sporting goods, a few kitchen products, and not quite a cohesive brand, but it's got a few winners on its own that have performed pretty well over the years.
And what would you say for Upstreet? What was your first, because it's always, how you start is always pretty important. So what was your first product, or maybe your first 2 or 3 products?
So pickleball paddles. We got in there early. It's now a bloodbath of competition.
It is. Yeah.
But 2017, this was a new product, and there weren't a lot of graphite pickleball paddles, the ones that are nicer. And it's kind of if we had inventory, it was going to sell. So there was definitely doing the right, this is the product research, more of a trend research of understanding where the puck is going. That's what has actually allowed some of these products to succeed, was not copying what others, actually not using a product research tool, but kind of just understanding okay, no one's here. Actually, if you search dinner bell on Amazon, we have the top dinner bells, and
dinner bells.
Yeah.
These are legit, you dangle a dinner bell and it's a for a farm, I guess.
Yeah, we have both one that you would install, and then also the triangle, a triangle dinner bell. very functional. Turns out people also like dinner bells when they're building out play sets for their kids. If they're going to build out like a ship play set, a dinner bell actually goes really well.
Wow. Yeah, and it's interesting that you say, you went into a blue ocean with pickleball. If you went into it back in 2017, nobody cared about pickleball back then. I didn't even know what that was. I recently found out about it probably in like 2021 when it seems like it just exploded. Everybody's all about pickleball right now, or was, but yeah. So when you're trying to do keyword research for a product that nobody's searching for, keyword research is pretty much pointless, right?
No, but if you launch the right product that people are looking for, like, you're going to do well.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you say that's how you really scaled your private label business, was that same strategy of kind of testing out this product and then trying to be there before?
Yeah, that's not to say that there weren't some losers. We've got a graveyard of a few, but it's enough. I would actually say our success rate is like, I don't know, 40%, 50% of products that we still, are actively reordering and keep them going. And have actually slowed down on launching new products and trying to invest more in making these products better, category leaders, increasing the conversion percent, spending time with photos, all of that, so that it's tough on Amazon to like launch, and you say incumbents come in, competition comes in. Like, we don't want to like cede ground that we earned, or that we worked for. And so working hard to kind of like keep the business growing.
Now, when it comes to launching new products, would you say you did it in a sequential way, like this one, or let's see, like, now let's launch this one? Or was it like parallel where like you're launching 5, 10 at a time, and it's kind of like the shotgun approach?
Usually the first product is a single launch. Then when we like roll out variations or like, different styles, that's definitely more of like the shotgun approach, where we've done, 20 at a time, 10 at a time. And because there's less, we know the product, and it's more of just like increasing the amount of styles that are available that people might be interested in. And sometimes like, having the right style is great. Like, for example, pickleball paddle, we knew we couldn't win in every single part of the equation. So we got some interesting designs, like a gold pickleball paddle, or a silver one, or one that has like a bling chain on it. We wanted to like get people. We wanted to win on like the actual product, and not, if we're spending hundreds of dollars on PPC. So
Yeah, so the uniqueness of the product and appealing to somebody who wants a super unique pickleball paddle. Because when I look at the pickleball paddles, I would say it's very similar to like the tennis racket, where it's just very bright colors and just kind of basic, like sharp lines, sporty looking graphics and stuff. But if you're taking a different approach, then it seems like that would win.
Yeah, that's it's actually done fairly well. They started selling on their own just based off of their characteristics, and not our, it took us a few weeks to like get our marketing lined up.
Okay. So what about SmartScout? What does that platform do?
Yeah. So it solves a few different problems that at the time, I've been a software developer. And for most of the businesses, I've always been on the technical side of things, on the back end, like, what data is available from Amazon? What data do we have to like, find from other sources? Like, there's actually a few external APIs that other people have built, things like Rainforest API, or Keepa has an API. And, once you have that data, you're like, well, what can we do? So one problem we had in our reselling business was looking at a catalog of Amazon and like being like, okay, what brands are like open for, wholesale or like reselling? And there's a million brands on Amazon. But what I kept hearing the same question in the back of my mind, like, what are the best ones to work on? What are the ones that we can make the most money with? chase revenue. So what we did is we organized every product around a brand. And then we took characteristics of those brands. So like if, Amazon retail sells them, or, like 1P versus 3P split, or how many FBA sellers are there? Is there one FBA seller, like, which makes it look like it's a private label brand? Or are there like 3, 4, 5, 10 FBA sellers? And so it's just really a database that like solves that. You could just do a filter and you can look at any brand. You can look at your competitors, or you can be like, hey, here's the brands that are in this. Actually, like if we were to look at the pickleball example, we could look at all the pickleball brands, look at their market share, and which ones, are launched more recently, which ones are growing. And I mean, I feel like I'm like rambling at this point, but it's kind of like a top-down approach to research. So, Jungle Scout and Helium 10, they're great like product research tools. SmartScout is more of like a market research. We're generally looking at like a bird's eye view, top down, like where like we're thinking about brands, we're thinking about subcategories, like what is the revenue of a subcategory? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? And like like what you said, we could show that the pickleball subcategory is growing, and it's.
Well, that's a cool feature right there, what you just said. Like, I don't think Jungle Scout and Helium 10 have that ability to look at product categories and subcategories and look at revenue and then be able to see a graph or a chart and see how that's changing. So you're saying SmartScout does show that?
Yeah. That's it's got we actually divide. There's about 42,000 subcategories on Amazon, and some of them are quite big. Like. Some of the kitchenware, like air fryers, it's going to be like a $50 million a month business. And some of them are rather small. And it's kind of everywhere in between. And so, but what's really, we've iterated on this because I look at the problems my business has and I'm like, oh, I just want to like build a solution. Sometimes it's just a little bit easier to build the world you want to see. So it has that with like historic little line charts and all that jazz.
So really you would say SmartScout is product research, not necessarily getting into the weeds of keyword research, but more market research, category research, and brand research to see the brands and what their revenue is and things like that. Yeah.
And so in that grain, sometimes we've started to think about it as like a competitor research tool. We show you what your competitors are up to, what they're doing. We do a little bit of keyword stuff. For example, we show what we look at keywords and where people are advertising. So you take a brand, we show you the keywords that they are advertising on and their win rates. Like we're checking in, multiple times and saying that like, hey, in the last month, Nike has won on, men's shoes 30% of the time. And they've won on, women's shoes, 10% of the time. And so we show like the sponsored products, the sponsored brands, and the sponsored videos. So we're doing a lot to allow you to see, someone else's playbook.
So give me an idea. Like I want you to share like your most moneyest strategy that you have when it comes to product research. You've got your resale business, you've got your private label business. So you've got your product research tool. I'd imagine you're definitely an expert when it comes to product research. So what kind of strategy or tip do you have for like, if somebody has no products that they're selling right now, how can they go and find that winning product?
Mine is not anything that like a tool can give you. What we see do the best and actually have the products that stick around the longest have some sort of IP or intellectual property associated with it, like a book, or like I was talking about that cooking. Well, we do have like a little Dutch pan cooking thing, we actually insert a recipe book with it.
Okay.
And that recipe book is really the only thing that like stops us from looking like our competitors and being copycats.
Okay.
And it gives us additional things that we can talk about in our photos. We're like, hey, you know, these recipes, like, you know,
yeah,
they're
add
like,
value kind of thing.
Yeah. And we have a stuffed animal and we have an associated book with it. It's those little things that make it so that we're not easily copyable.
Yeah.
And I think you'd be surprised how many products can have some associated IP with it. Whether it's a book or maybe even an online like PDF that works with it.
Software.
Yeah.
Maybe it comes with a tool or something.
Yeah. I've seen that stuff. My favorite is really just a book. And I think about products that are like, ooh, I could build a brand around this. It's some form of like
bundling, it sounds like.
Yeah. Bundle, or like, you know, like someone literally just could not copy your design and do the same thing. So that's the angle that I look for, because I get a little bit worried about jumping into categories and then like year 2, 3, and 4, you know, 5 more sellers show up and now everyone's driving up the costs of advertising. And so I think you'd be surprised about how you know, what people can do. Even in the music category, you see a lot of like, you know, training discs that will come up with it, or you know, education material.
Gotcha. Okay. So when it comes to product research, though, are you looking at like, is it just being creative and you're just thinking, oh, what can I sell this or sell this? Or like, are you using any kind of tool? Or because I'd imagine you first have to think about the product, like what you said, Dutch oven. Okay, Dutch oven. Okay, how can we like build on that, bundle it? How can we make the value bigger and still be at the same price point or around the same price point as the competitors? But how are you first discovering that first Dutch oven?
That's a great question. Some of our best winners we found on a China sourcing trip. Like in 2017, I went to China and, you know, went to like those markets that have a lot of manufacturers showing off what they can do. And, you know, we came back with about 100 ideas and just like whittled it down based on like, hey, we think this is a market that's not being addressed on Amazon. So, because it's kind of nice to already know that like, well, we've got the manufacturer that can do this. So, that part's solved. So it's a little bit, you know, it's spending time, at a few different angles. Yeah, no, I think tools are like really, really helpful and kind of, they justify it, but, I don't think you can take the not the inventor, but like more of like the curiosity of you as a consumer, like out of the equation.
You know, I think that's a really good idea, because the little bit of international searching that I've done, really it comes on YouTube. I've watched a lot of these, like, they're so addicting. There's these longer form videos and it's like people using this like crazy kind of a digging tool, and they're building these huts that have like waterways and pools, and like they're like literally these huts made out of clay, bamboo, and grass and stuff like that. They use this tool and I was thinking, man, that's not a tool we use in America. And I was thinking, wow, I mean, I wonder if there's like a demand for that, you know. So international traveling or looking in different countries to then bring back to sell in the US, I think that's a really awesome idea. But that leads me to another question that I just thought up is marketplaces. You know, Amazon marketplaces are expanding like crazy. I just discovered, you know, India, there's Australia, there's the Middle East, there's obviously Europe and all the different marketplaces inside Europe. Like, what are your thoughts on expanding to different marketplaces? I'm assuming that a lot of your products right now are in the US, but what other marketplaces are you in? Or do you plan on expanding to?
My first thought was actually something slightly, it's very much in the grain of that. I see a lot of people, especially in grocery, like the US is so international, but we don't always serve all of our international residents. So like you see a lot of success with people taking some things that are specific to say like Japan or India and making that available in such an easy way in the US. Like this is very easy with like grocery or any of the consumables that people can't get, and launching them, you have such an audience built in. Now going international, we take our products that are just kind of like cross and transcend, some of the borders. We have a metronome that there's musicians everywhere. And so we have done a little bit of that international. And there's absolutely an opportunity because the US is just the most competitive by a long shot. It's not even close.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very developed marketplace. And so jumping into those new marketplaces, you can really shine fast. It is a little bit more effort, to learn, the nuances, the tax and the shipping, but, and the reward isn't quite, it's not like you can go to Canada and expect to sell 100 units a day, but it's certainly there.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Scott, for taking the time and jumping on this video with me. I really appreciate you, taking the time. I mean, I know you got a lot of things going on. You got your private label, you got your SmartScout and all these things. So really appreciate it. If they want to explore your podcast and smartscout.com, is there a link to your podcast on smartscout.com?
No, but the podcast is called The Smartest Amazon Seller. I just chose the most humble name that I could find. Nice. No, it's like one of those names that like I kind of got stuck with, but And smartscout.com is the service it's that I've built, and I spend every month trying to build in more interesting tools. So check it out.
So do they just Google search the smartest Amazon seller?
Yeah, a lot of people find it that way.
Okay, cool. Well, check him out, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you got some value from Scott, and we'll catch you in the next video.